So today we're going to talk about Matt Rhule and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner
What's up, kinfolks? RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. So it's college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today I want to talk about Matt Rhule. And in particular, I want to talk about his transition to Carolina Panthers head coach. And I'm going to do this by testing out a new feature because you will notice that this is a new set design called About 10 Minutes, where we use the egg timer, set it to 10 minutes, because I know everybody's on a schedule. So, as you heard earlier this morning, that would be Tuesday, the year of our Lord 2020, January 7th. Matt Rhule is the new head coach at the Carolina Panthers, which made not a whole hell of a lot of sense when you start to think about what he had done at Baylor and what he'd done at Temple, by the way, but it made more sense when you found out how he got started as a head coach, and that was leaving his job as an offensive line guy, offensive line assistant with the New York Giants, to become the head coach at Temple, where all he did was turn that program around in short order, winning 10 games, getting to the American Championship game, making it worthwhile for the Owls to be talked about as a group of 5 team that could compete in a New Year's Six Bowl, which is all you can ask for from a group of 5 team. Memphis was that team earlier this year. They got stomped by Penn State, and Micah Parsons showed everybody why he's the first consensus All-American to play at Penn State and play linebacker since 1998 when LeVar Arrington did the same, and he's wearing LeVar Arrington's number. 2021 draft, that's going to be the dude that everybody's talking about the way they're talking about Isaiah Simmons right now. But in transitioning from the Temple head coach to taking a Power 5 job, the one that was available to him, the one that we all wanted him to take, Baylor, you got to see what kind of a head coach he really was. Because in accepting the job as the head coach at Baylor, he's also taking over one of the just baseless programs in America at the time. Not to say that Baylor football is baseless, but the way that Art Briles had gone about coaching Baylor football was sexual assault scandal that might be the worst in sports history, to say nothing of what transpired with guys like Tevin Elliott and Sean Oakman, and later and on and on and on. We get the Title IX investigation that was, we get the fallout that was. I thought Baylor should have got the death penalty because I thought that what they did was way worse than what Southern Methodist got the death penalty for. We haven't seen the death penalty since. But Baylor is in the dumpster, and it is playing in a conference that is run by Oklahoma. As a matter of fact, nationally, people only care about 2 programs in the Big 12. One is Oklahoma, the other is Texas, which is the most moneyed program in college football. So how are you going to compete, especially when you don't have players, especially when you know that you're not going to be very good? So what he says is trust me. And what does trust me get me? But 1-11 in his first year, 2017, as the head coach at Baylor. Nobody expected them to be any good. Nobody expected them to be that bad either. And that's saying something in a conference where Kansas is the bottom dweller, right? In a conference where you're still trying to figure out who outside of Oklahoma deserves some run. And it certainly hadn't been Texas, though they ended up making the Big 12 championship. And what's he do but turn it around and get to a bowl game in the very next year, mostly by riding Charlie Brewer at quarterback and building a defense around his 4-3 scheme that worked and worked well, especially with Clay Johnston in it. But then they make a pivot. They pivot to the 3-3-5 on their defense, and I'm thinking, okay, well, this defense is designed simply for you to either blitz or play coverage. If you blitz quarterbacks in the Big 12, you're probably going to get decimated. If you play coverage and back off, you're going to let wide receivers have free releases. You're probably going to get decimated. But no, he shows that with an outstanding nose guard, nearly 400 pounds, Bravion Roy, and the best defensive lineman in the league in James Lynch, we can get all the pressure that we need. And not only that, my one guy can beat your guard and your tackle more often than not. You're going to try to chip him with a tight end or a running back. It's not going to matter. James Lynch was in the backfield because Bravion Roy was crushing in the interior. Center, guards, nobody wanted any piece of him. I watched Creed Humphrey get his butt kicked, not once, but twice, against Baylor by Bravian Roy, who outweighed him by about 80 pounds, right? And all of this, you're also seeing he doesn't really have a first-round draft pick to speak of, all right? We might think about James Lynch depending on what he does in the combine, and that's in a couple of months, or in a month, and then we'll talk about what he goes and does in the NFL draft. But outside of Charlie Brewer, perhaps your star is Denzel Mims, and then you lost Clay Johnson, who was your captain and your best defender for me at Baylor to injury, season-ending injury, and you're asking your safeties and your corners to step up. You're asking for those guys to get a combination of 30 takeaways. They're sacking people. You've got these no-name coordinators that nobody outside of the Big 12 and Baylor would know. And all Matt Rhule does is wear his dentist smock and go get W's. Okay? So after making a bowl game and then doing what they did in 2019, you get 11 wins. Your only losses are twice to Oklahoma, one historically, a 25-point lead, you let go. They beat you at home. And then in the Big 12 championship game, where you hold Oklahoma to under 30, that's a win. That game could have gone either way. If Charlie Brewer's healthy, there's an argument to be made that Baylor could have won that game, but they had to go down the depth chart, get into a guy that hadn't played any quarterback this year except, just a little bit in high school. And then we watched Jacob Zener become Jacob Zener, and he might actually have the job next year because Charlie Brewer was knocked out of that game. Sugar Bowl, you take another loss for your first Sugar Bowl appearance in Baylor history. Charlie Brewer gets knocked out of that game, and now we're talking about whether or not Charlie Brewer might have to medically retire. And all of a sudden you hear Matt Rhule's name in NFL coaching circles more and more and more, especially after Ron Rivera had taken the job at Washington. You're starting to see what it looks like. Cleveland, he already said, I'm not taking that job, which is a smart play. He was going to interview with the New York Giants. Might have been in the running for the Dallas Cowboys head coach, except Jerry Jones had said, hey, look, I want somebody that's already coached in this league and somebody with some head coaching experience in this league. That rules out Lincoln Riley and Matt Rhule, among others. He goes and interviews at the Carolina Panthers job, but here's the thing. He didn't fly out to Carolina. David Tepper flew to his house in Waco and basically would not let him leave without accepting this job. We come to find out he becomes one of the highest paid coaches in America. Put it this way. He's making about $6 million. His buyout is $6 million at Baylor. They're going to pay him 7 years, $60 million. 7-year contract for the Carolina Panthers. That's going to pay him about $8.57 million annually. And with incentives, could get to $70 million. He also is going to get tremendous control. And as he told it in a text to his players, guys, I hope you understand. I get to take the process to the NFL and try to win a Super Bowl. And now he's in it. David Tepper got his man. Also put this one back into the category of David Tepper willing to pay whatever price it takes to try to get Carolina back into the conversation for Super Bowl. We'll see what that means for Cam Newton. I think that's the guy to build around. Will Grier, Kyle Allen, they're not going to get it done. You have to redo the offensive line. The Carolina Panthers gave up 58 sacks last year. Of course, it's got a lot to do with having a quarterback not named Cam Newton back there. You also have to make the right hires. I wonder if they're going to let him take his offensive and defensive coordinator with him. We will see. Wade Phillips has been informed that his contract won't be renewed with the Rams. He might be a guy that you want to go get to coach the defense. You don't want to waste Christian McCaffrey's prime year as he's been an all-pro running back for the Carolina Panthers. You also really want to make the right hire with your strength and conditioning coach because by CBA rule, that's the guy that has the most say and the only say among the assistants during this time period of the offseason between now, rookie minicamp, team minicamp. Those guys will come in and get their conditioning. You'll want a direct line from your strength and conditioning coach to yourself. You'll want to know what's going on with your team. You'll want to know what you're building toward. And you'll try to get people to buy in once again. All right. That's the buzzer. Doses.